It started on a quiet night in Alaska. Snow covered the observatory roof, and only the soft hum of machines filled the silence. Dr. Elara Jones sat alone in the control room, staring at the large screen. She had spent months scanning deep space, searching for patterns, something unusual. Most nights, the computers picked up noise, static, signals from stars, planets, satellites. Nothing new, nothing exciting. But that night, something different arrived. At exactly 3:14 a.m., the telescope caught a signal from deep space. At first, it was just a strange pulse, one short, two long, then silence. Then it repeated, again and again. Elara leaned closer. She adjusted the filters, removed background noise, and ran it through the AI decoder. The pulse changed form. It wasn't random. It was a message. And then, the screen flashed words in broken English. "Help us! The galaxy is dying!" Her heart stopped for a second. She checked the coordinates. This signal came from a galaxy more than 2.5 billion light-years away. That shouldn't be possible. No known signal could travel that far with such clarity. And it was speaking in Earth's language. How? Who sent it? She immediately called her team leader, but no one answered. It was too late at night, but she couldn't wait. She sent the signal to NASA's emergency response channel with one message: intelligent signal received, galaxy in danger, immediate attention required. Within 2 hours, her lab was full of people, suits, scientists, military. The room that once felt so calm now buzzed with fear. The president was informed. Every major world leader received the same report. Something far away was calling Earth, and the message was not friendly or peaceful. It was desperate. A warning. Elara watched as experts across the globe tried to understand the rest of the signal. It wasn't just words. It had layers, codes, maps, strange math symbols that didn't follow Earth logic. Some parts looked like sound, others like images. One part looked like a spiral with glowing dots around it. Then came the first shock. A young programmer from Tokyo shouted, "It's a star map! This is a map of their galaxy!" And he zoomed in on the spiral. One of the glowing dots blinked, then spread into a wider pattern. It was Earth's solar system. The map was pointing right at them. Why? Were they warning us about something coming here? Or was it already here? A wave of silence hit the room. Everyone stared at the screen. Elara whispered, "Why does it point to us? What do they want from Earth?" Suddenly, the signal changed. Again. A new set of pulses began, faster, stronger, more urgent. One of the AI decoders translated it into sound, and for a brief moment, a voice spoke. It was not human. It sounded deep, slow, like it was underwater, but the words were clear. "It eats light. It eats time. Run." Nobody spoke. One scientist removed his glasses and muttered, "What eats light?" The news was locked down. The public was told there was a solar research update to prevent panic. But behind the scenes, the world's most powerful minds were building a team that would respond to the signal. They called it Project Echo. Dr. Elara Jones was named lead scientist. Her job was to figure out what the message meant, where it came from, and what Earth should do next. Over the next 3 days, the team broke more of the signal. It spoke of an ancient race that lived in the distant galaxy. They were billions of years older than humans. They watched stars grow and die. But then something changed. A force they could not stop began eating their stars, one by one. Not a black hole, not a weapon, something alive. Something that didn't belong in any... Science Earth understood. This race tried to stop it. They built machines, weapons, traps. All failed. So in their final days, they sent a warning, hoping someone somewhere would hear them. Somehow that message traveled across time and space to reach Earth. And now Earth had a choice: listen or ignore it. Ilara stood in the command center of Project Echo. Screens showed the signal in every form: sound, light, math, images. She noticed something no one else did. Deep in the signal, between the pulses, was a repeating image. A circle with strange marks. It didn't match any known symbol, but when overlaid on the map, it matched Earth's orbit around the sun. The signal wasn't just warning us, it was watching us. Suddenly, a young officer ran into the room. "Dr. Jones, something's happening. The moon just shifted its rotation, only by 0.01 degrees. But that's not normal." Everyone turned to the screen. The live feed from a lunar satellite showed the moon's surface. At first it looked the same: gray, dusty, lifeless. But then, one area near the South Pole began to darken. A shadow spread across the surface. Not natural, not a cloud or crater, a perfect black circle. Then, it blinked, like an eye. The room fell silent as the moon blinked again. The dark circle pulsed once, then vanished like it was never there. But everyone had seen it. The feed was saved, analyzed, and played back in slow motion. Still, no one could explain it. There was no crater, no dust, no glitch. The black circle had appeared with perfect shape, like a machine opening its eye. And then, just as quickly, it had gone. Dr. Ilara Jones stood frozen in the middle of the command center. Her thoughts raced. The signal from the dying galaxy had warned them. Something eats light. Something is coming. And now, the moon, silent, for billions of years, had responded to that signal. Project Echo received immediate orders from world leaders. Send a reply. That was the message from the top. Earth had to speak back, no matter the risk. They had to ask what was happening and what to do next. Using powerful quantum transmitters, Ilara's team began building Earth's response. It had to be short, direct, something the other side could understand. They worked for 16 hours, straight. At last, they formed a simple message. "We received your signal. What is the danger? What must we do?" The moment the reply was sent, something unexpected happened. Every major satellite lost signal for exactly 1 second. Not just one company, not just one country, all of them. GPS, weather, defense, everything stopped for a breath. And when they came back online, the moon had changed again. A strange glow appeared under its surface, not visible to the human eye but detected by deep space sensors. It looked like veins, lines, of power running across its body like it was waking up. Scans showed something massive inside the moon, something hollow, something old. Ilara stared at the new data and whispered, "It's not a rock. The moon is a machine." Her words shocked the room, but the evidence was clear. The moon had always been strange, too big, too perfectly round, too important, to Earth's gravity and tides. Scientists had argued for years, but now the truth was coming out. It wasn't natural. Someone had put it there. Someone far older than humans. And now, after billions of years, it was finally turning on. Hours later, the moon began to send its own signal, not to Earth, but to space. A beam of energy shot into the stars, in the exact direction the original warning had come from. It was weak, but focused. A reply. Project Echo watched in awe. The moon was part of an old network, maybe left behind by the ancient race that sent the first message. A last chance system, a defense, or maybe a trap. Ilara and her team launched a high-speed drone toward the moon. It landed near the South Pole, where the dark circle had first appeared. What it found was even more shocking. A hidden entrance, several kilometers wide, had opened in the moon's surface. The drone sent video back. Inside the opening, strange lights glowed. The walls were made of unknown metal, smooth and alive, pulsing like a heart. Then came the voice. The signal returned, stronger, clearer. This time, the voice did not speak in broken English. It was clean, deep, alien, yet calm. Earth has heard the signal. The Watchers have awakened. Your planet is marked. The enemy moves. Prepare. Alara's hands shook. She tried to ask the AI for more information, but the voice continued on its own. We are the last memory of a fallen galaxy. We saw the light disappear. We saw time collapse. We built these machines to warn others. But only Earth has answered. Now, you must run or you must fight. The feed cut out. The drone stopped responding. Silence again. In the hours that followed, Earth's governments argued in secret. Should they tell the public? Should they warn the world? But the choice was taken from them when the sun flickered. Across the globe, the sky dimmed for exactly 0.5 seconds. A pause, like someone had pressed a cosmic switch. Then everything returned to normal. But scientists everywhere knew. Stars don't just flicker, not like that. Something had touched the sun. Panic spread through underground channels. If the sun was under threat, then Earth had no time. The warning had said it eats light. And now our light had blinked. Alara stood alone in her lab, watching the map again. The ancient spiral galaxy that had sent the signal was already gone. Only the message remained. A message across time, across death, across the end of everything. And now Earth was part of that story. She turned to her team and said softly, "The moon was never ours. It was always theirs. And now, they're talking to us." A new transmission appeared on screen. It was short, simple. A line of code that translated to one sentence, "You have been seen." And for the first time in human history, Earth realized it was not alone. It was being watched, and the Watcher had just woken up. The world changed after the message. You have been seen. Those 4 words echoed in every government building, every secret base, and deep inside the minds of the Project Echo team. Earth had answered a signal from a dying galaxy. Now, something had answered back. Inside the underground facility beneath the Nevada desert, Dr. Elara Jones stood in front of a wall-sized screen showing the moon. It looked the same on the outside, gray and silent. But they now knew the truth. It wasn't just a rock. It was a machine, a guardian, a messenger, and maybe a gate. The entrance the drone had discovered was still open. No team had entered it yet. The drone had shut off the moment it reached the first inner chamber. No signal, no images, nothing. Whatever lived or slept inside didn't want to be disturbed. Project Echo had a difficult choice. Wait and study it from afar, or go in. They chose to go in. A team of 5 astronauts was selected, trained in both combat and alien technology studies. Elara wanted to go herself, but leadership denied her. She was too important. Instead, she watched the team from Mission Control as they prepared to enter the moon. The shuttle launched in silence. No media, no public knowledge. Only a few world leaders even knew about the mission. As the ship neared the moon's surface, the dark circle pulsed again, just once, like it was acknowledging their arrival. Then the entrance opened, smoothly, silently. Inside, the astronauts reported seeing glowing walls full of symbols moving like water. The light didn't come from bulbs or panels. It came from the walls themselves, breathing, reacting to every step. They entered the first chamber, and that's when things got strange. The air was breathable. That shouldn't have been possible. The moon had no atmosphere, but inside the chamber, oxygen levels were perfect. Temperature was stable. Gravity was Earth-like. Someone or something had prepared it for humans. Or maybe it had been built for someone like them a long time ago. One astronaut reached out and touched the wall. The lights reacted instantly. The symbols moved faster. Then a voice filled the chamber. Not through speakers, but directly into their heads. You have come. Too late for many, just in time for yourselves. The team froze. Ilara's screen went blank. All contact was lost. For 20 full minutes, Mission Control couldn't hear or see anything from the astronauts. Fear spread through the room. Then the feed returned, but not with video, with a map. A holographic map appeared on every screen across Project Echo's network. It showed dozens of galaxies, many crossed out in red. Entire systems marked as consumed. Only a few remained. Earth's galaxy, the Milky Way, was blinking in yellow. Still alive. But near the red line, in the center of the map was a word in an unknown script. The AI struggled to translate it. After 2 minutes, it found the closest match. Star Eater. Ilara whispered the name, her voice barely louder than her breath. That's what it is, the thing that destroyed them. The voice returned. Now clear, strong. A message sent to Earth through the astronauts' suits. We were the light makers. We built stars. We gave warmth to cold planets. But we made a mistake. We woke it. It does not think. It does not feel. It only feeds. Light, heat, time. When it comes, nothing remains. The astronauts moved deeper into the moon's interior. They entered a vast room, miles wide. In the center stood a single column glowing with blue light. On it was Earth's solar system, spinning slowly. A countdown blinked under it. No one could read the numbers. But they knew. It was a timer, and it had already started. Suddenly, the Earth symbol on the column turned red. The voice returned one final time. It has noticed your star. It will send the first. A scout. You must prepare, or you will burn in silence. Then the chamber went dark. The astronauts were pulled back to the surface by emergency tethers. The entrance behind them closed, as if it had never been there. The moon returned to its usual silence. But nothing was normal anymore. Back on Earth, satellites picked up an object moving toward the solar system. Fast, too fast. It had entered from deep space, beyond the reach of current telescopes, and was already passing Neptune. It wasn't natural. It wasn't a comet or asteroid. It was cold, black, and it didn't reflect light. It ate it. Ilara looked at the data and felt her stomach twist. This was the Scout, the first piece of the Star Eater. Just like the voice had said, the object would reach Earth's orbit in less than 8 weeks. Panic spread through hidden channels. Governments rushed to prepare. Project Echo launched emergency defense systems. But how do you fight something older than stars? Something that eats energy and lives in the dark? Ilara stared at the moon again. That machine wasn't just a warning. It was a test, a gate, a relic from a lost galaxy trying to give Earth a chance. Maybe even a weapon. But Earth wasn't ready. Not yet. And above them, far away, in the cold dark between stars, something ancient was moving. Something hungry. Something that had just opened its eyes. The object reached Saturn's orbit in just 4 days. That speed was impossible. Nothing that size should move like that, unless it was alive or something beyond human understanding. Project Echo called it Object X, but Ilara Jones refused that name. She called it what it was, the Scout. It had no clear shape, no lights, no heat. It was a black void in space, darker than anything known. Telescopes could barely track it. Radar passed through it. Even light seemed to vanish near it, as if it didn't reflect or absorb, but completely erased what touched it. The moon remained silent. The gate had closed and no voice had spoken since. Ilara spent hours staring at the data, searching for something they missed. some clue, some tool. The countdown still blinked on the last transmission. Time was running out. Then the unthinkable happened. A tremor shook the earth, not from a quake, but from the sky. A pulse of energy hit the atmosphere like a ripple through water. Planes dropped suddenly, satellites blinked out, and then came the signal. It played through every speaker, every phone, every screen in every home. A voice. Not the one from the moon. This voice was lower, heavier. It echoed like 1,000 screams underwater. You saw the signal. You chose to reply. You are not ready. You are not alone. The message played once. Then silence. Then darkness. All. Power grids failed for 3 minutes. Even protected military systems shut down. Across the globe, cities went dark. Hospitals ran on emergency lights. Aircraft circled in silence. Then, just like that, power returned. But everything was different now. Scientists realized the energy pulse wasn't just a message. It was a scan. The Scout had scanned Earth, measured its defenses, its weaknesses, its heart. Project Echo launched an emergency meeting. Top leaders, scientists, and AI experts gathered underground. Alara stood in front of the room and said what no one wanted to hear. The Scout is not just watching us. It's feeding on the sun, very slowly, but it's starting, she showed. Them the solar readings. The sun's outer layer had cooled by 0.02%, a tiny drop, but impossible to explain. It meant something was leaching energy from it, and that something was moving closer. The moon suddenly changed again. A new signal came, not a voice, but a beam of symbols. Alara's team decoded it. It was a warning and a challenge. Activate the defense or be erased. Everyone stared at the screen. The moon had one more secret, one that hadn't been touched for billions of years. A weapon buried deep beneath its core. They had to decide. No one knew what the defense system would do. It wasn't human technology. It wasn't tested. It could destroy Earth if used wrong. But waiting wasn't an option. They activated it. The moon shook. Its surface cracked. A pulse shot across the sky, invisible to the eye but strong enough to rattle satellites. Then came the light. From the dark side of the moon, a beam of blue energy fired into space. Fast, focused, aimed directly at the approaching Scout. For a moment, Earth held its breath. The Scout stopped moving. All signals paused, and then it screamed. No sound. Just a wave of radiation and static filled every device. The Scout turned, slowly, toward the beam. It didn't die, it didn't fall, but it had been hurt. For the first time, the Star Eater's piece felt pain. Then the moon's energy core began to fail. The weapon had only fired once, but it had used almost all its power. The machine had waited too long. It was old, broken. Earth had one shot left, if even that. The Scout began to move again, now slower, but with more purpose. It was coming, directly for Earth. Not to scan, not to speak, to silence. Ilara stood in silence in the Project Echo control room. She watched as the last pulse of energy from the moon faded. The machine had done what it could. The rest was up to Earth. But she noticed something strange. The beam from the moon had left a trace behind, a trail of data, encoded light, like a key. Maybe it was part of the weapon's design. Maybe it was meant for humans to see. She ran. It through the AI decoder. It showed a planet, not Earth, somewhere else, far away, and one word beneath it, allies. Ilara's eyes widened. "We're not alone," she whispered. "Someone else survived. The Star Eater was coming. But Earth might not have to face it alone. If only they could reach the planet in time. If only the Scout didn't destroy them first." The world was no longer the same. Everyone could feel it, even if most people didn't know why. The sun didn't shine quite the same way. The stars looked different, and the moon felt awake. In secret bunkers beneath the Earth, the project. Echo Team raced against time. The scout was coming, slow but steady, like death in the dark. The moon's ancient defense system had fired once, hurting the creature. But the machine was too old, and now its core was dying. One last burst of power flickered inside, barely enough for one more activation. Dr. Alara Jones stood in front of the moon's map, her eyes locked on the fading energy trail. The word allies still blinked on screen. Somewhere, far away, another planet had survived the Star Eater, but it was too far to reach in time. Her mind turned back to Earth. They had one last chance. The moon had tested them. Now they had to finish the fight themselves. "We can't stop the scout with weapons," Ilara said, addressing the Echo Team. "It eats energy. If we attack it, it will only grow stronger." One of the engineers asked, "Then, what do we do?" Ilara stepped forward and pointed at the decoded alien data. "We don't fight it with power. We fight it with a message." There was confusion in the room. A message? Against a creature that eats stars? But Ilara explained. The moon's ancient creators had built more than weapons. They had built knowledge, data, symbols, warnings, even emotion. And in the final pulse of energy they sent to the scout, they embedded something Earth had never used in war. A memory. The scout had screamed not because it was damaged physically, but because it was shown something. Pain, loss, fear. A message so old and deep that even the Star Eater's creation had felt it. That was the key. They didn't need to destroy the scout. They needed to wake it up. Show it what it was. Show it the truth. Project Echo began building a signal, something more than sound or code. It was part music, part image, part emotion, a beam of memory, created by both human and alien knowledge, using what little power remained in the moon's failing core. But they had no time. The scout reached Mars' orbit. It began draining heat from the red planet's surface. Small storms began to form on Earth's edge. The oceans shifted slightly. The sun flickered again, longer this time. It was speeding up. If they didn't act now, it would reach Earth's orbit within hours. Ilara and her team loaded the memory, signal into the moon's central command. The code wasn't perfect. The system was ancient and barely stable. One mistake could overload the core and possibly destroy the moon completely. But there was no choice. They activated it. At first, nothing happened. The moon remained still, the surface dark. Then a deep blue glow returned to the cracks along the surface. Slowly, the ancient machine came alive once more. Its final message system opened like a flower in the sky. From the dark side of the moon, a strange beam formed. Not energy, not light, but something more. A wave of memory. Earth's pain, its joy, its history. Wars, peace, music, love, failure, triumph. Combined with the final moments of the alien race who had built the moon. It was beautiful and terrible. And then it reached the scout. High above Earth, the creature stopped. It didn't burn. It didn't fall. It just froze. The wave of memory hit it full force. And for the first time since it was born, the scout saw something beyond hunger. It saw the people of Earth, their families, their fears. It saw a mother holding her child, a scientist watching the stars, a planet still growing, still learning, still trying, and it saw itself, a creature made to eat light, but with no purpose beyond destruction. The scout changed. Its black surface began to crack, not from damage, but from confusion. Small bursts of white light broke through. Not power, memory. It was waking up. Back on Earth, Ilara watched as the beam continued, but the moon's core was failing fast. Alarms filled the command center. The ancient machine had done all it could. The beam flickered, then died. For a moment, silence. Then, something impossible happened. The scout turned around. It didn't attack. It didn't move closer. It began to drift. Away. No one spoke. Elara leaned forward, eyes wide. The creature, the thing built by the Star Eater, was leaving. Slowly, but definitely moving in the opposite direction. But just before it vanished, into deep space, it sent a signal. This time, it was not in the form of sound. It was a picture. A single image burned into every screen on Earth. A shape. Massive. Floating in the void, covered in darkness. It wasn't the scout. It was the Star Eater itself, and it was still coming. The scout was just the beginning. Elara stared at the image. It was larger than anything they had ever imagined, a being that moved between galaxies, slowly, silently, eating suns and collapsing time itself. The scout had been changed by memory, but the Star Eater, it could not be changed. It had no mind, no fear, no purpose, only hunger. Elara turned to her team. Her voice was calm, but strong. The scout spared us. It saw something. But now, we have to become something stronger. We have to warn the others. And deep in space, far beyond Earth's reach, a single planet blinked in reply. A new signal. From the Allies. The final war hadn't started yet, but Earth was no longer just a target. It was part of the message now. It was part of the resistance.